So, I never thought that I would actually be making a video like this one. But like you, like so many of you, because I don't know who all is watching this, but like so many of you, I used to have a home. I used to have a daily routine. I used to have a normal life, what most people, I guess, would consider a normal life. And all that changed in a day, October 2021. And as much as I hate to look back on the memory of it, I'm going to share that with you guys. What my first night actually felt like and what I went through. The first night of me being homeless. I don't like to think about it. Because I put myself in a position that I said I would never put myself in, and that was depending on someone for, I'm sorry you guys. I said that I would never put myself in a position where I had to depend on anyone. I always prided myself on my independence and the ability to take care of myself, no matter what. Which all in all, I did still do. But this particular day, things had been building up. The tension between me and my son. Now, mind you, I'm just assuming that you guys have already seen my previous video on how I became homeless. It's something that was very hurtful and shocking because it came from a person that I loved and really could never imagine would seriously do this to me, because I was staying with my son at the time and he was the one that put me out. I'm not going to go into the details about his personal situation as to what was going on with him. You have to see the other videos for that to really understand. But that day was already hard enough for me because I had come off of working and I was traveling about an hour and 20 minutes out to work. And coming in was just really hard because I was doing 10-hour shifts, which I was not used to, especially driving to and from work for that duration of time. So it made it challenging nonetheless. But, where I was going was out in the Lehigh Valley area, all the way out to the northeast of Philadelphia, where my son lived. I was working out from the Lehigh Valley area. And so when I came in, like I said, the mood was, not the best, and I was tired. I knew that a lot of tension was building up. And all the important things that I had that I felt were most important were being stored in my son's garage. Now, if you know how the row homes are in Philadelphia, you have it where your garage is connected to your home, and so you can go in either through the door outside to come inside or the door from the garage to get inside. And I had, all my stuff in there because my son was not using that space for his car. So, I had a good majority of my things in there. Very important things. So we ended up arguing, it was me and my 3 kids, we ended up arguing, and it was crazy because my son was like that close in my face, and I really thought that we were going to physically fight, and I was like, that would literally be taking it too far, and I'm not trying to be put in a position like that. And I was already having that feeling like I don't want to get put out. I just want to get through this and let it go. And a lot of it, I really didn't even understand where all of this emotion and anger was coming from, because when we first got there, it felt like everything was fine, and then it just felt like overnight everything started to fall apart, and I just started to see a whole other side of my son. So we argued, and I basically had to leave. Now, mind you, I was afraid that this was something that was going to happen, because prior to the girl that my son currently had living in the house with us, that girlfriend had 2 young children, a girl and a boy, and he put her out with no thought. And during the time that I was there, the present girlfriend that he put her out with her son. And all I could think of was, my God, if you can do this to a woman that you say you love and her child, what will you do to me? And so I really was trying to keep the peace, and almost felt like I had to walk on eggshells, because there was no real, for me, it didn't feel like there was any real way that I could get around the conversation where it wouldn't put me in a negative place. But in the end, it did. It's still like it didn't matter. And so I have a Nissan Rogue. I got locked out, and was just, I was able to put whatever it was in my car that I could. And I just kept on thinking to myself, I was in disbelief. I kept saying, I can't believe this. I can't believe this. Like, is he serious right now? Like, and there was no talking to him, because all he was doing was venting. There was no real conversation where there was a period where one person is listening and the other person is speaking, and then you stop and it changes. I was hoping to avoid it. I didn't have any working heat in my car, but thank God I would always travel with a case of water and covers that I would keep in my car. So Reality finally kicked in, and I was like, wow, uh, this is it. I'm just gonna be in my car. And I don't know how to do this. What am I going to really do? Where am I going to go? And I didn't have any money. I just paid the things that I needed to pay with the last bit of money that I had from my last check. I had paid my car because I still had to pay my car note. I paid on my storage. I paid on my insurance. I paid on my phone. And I had gas that I put in the car. So I'm driving around, and it's getting darker, and I'm trying to figure out, where am I going to go where I can feel safe. Now here's what I did. Walmart had, usually around the time of Halloween, they have these heads, these big cat heads, dog heads, horse heads, animal heads, different things. And so I bought a cat head, a black cat head, as a Halloween, mask or whatever. And I put it on the back, the head piece thing. I put it on the back part of the passenger side seat so that it would look like someone was in the car with me, because I don't have tinted windows. And where I was in Philly, I was afraid of somebody noticing that I was in the car by myself, and especially like overnight. So I kind of drove around because I'm trying to think, where can I go where I would feel safe? Because I'm going to have to sleep in my car. I didn't feel comfortable at the Walmart, because understand, the Walmarts out there in those areas where we were, they were getting robbed. I mean, to the point where the Walmart that we went to shop at had just a few months earlier got shut down because people were thieving from there, so much. They was out of control. I mean, so there was no way I was going to try to sleep in the parking lot there. Then I thought about, maybe hotel parking lots, but, they be checking, and unless you have, usually when you go in someplace, you have to have like a sticker or something like that. No, it'll show that you're like a resident, or, that you have a room there or something like that. And I damn sure really was not trying to go to a hotel like the, what is it, the Red Carpet Inn or anything like that. One of those real sleazy ones where the prostitutes be taking their tricks. I was not trying to do that. I thought about Planet Fitness because they are a 24-hour, but again, it just did not feel safe to me. I thought about apartment complexes. Things happened there too, and I was very unfamiliar with this area, this part of Philadelphia. I hadn't made myself familiar with. I was familiar with other parts of Philadelphia, but not out in the Northeast. So I tried to drive around and find a place where I felt comfortable, and I wasn't sure if I should park under a street light or not, because I didn't want to draw attention to myself. So I found this one street that seemed pretty quiet, near a school. And I stayed in the front seat. I took some things and packed them up on the passenger side so it looked like it was a person there. And I reclined my chair, my seat, and I slept, but I barely slept because I still did not feel safe where I was. Honestly, I was just happy to really get through the night. It was like I catnapped pretty much. And when dawn started to come, I started to feel a slight sense of relief because I felt like, wow, I made it through the night and nothing happened. School buses were starting to, go by, but then I started to feel a little out of place because I didn't want anyone to look at my car and think that I was trying to do something funny. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to like the kids and things like that. And I didn't really feel like it was going to be a good place that I'd be able to stay and do that time and time again because I didn't want to draw attention to myself. But when the daytime came and I was able to leave, I really had to think hard about what moves I was going to make and where I could be. And honestly, as a female, as a black female in that area, and I didn't want to travel far because I still had things that I needed to try to get from my sons. I didn't want to waste gas, so I didn't want to travel really far. I did not feel safe. I couldn't even tell you, like, where. That was the only place that I could say that I really felt was safe for me to be, was near the school. Because I figured if anything did happen, that I could at least get the assistance of the people that worked at the school. I tried to keep my phone charged up. I couldn't use too much of my battery juice, because I need my car to start. But all I can say is I deeply empathize with anybody who has to ever go through that. And if you're in that situation now, because it's not, it doesn't feel good. And especially as a female, I understand that men go through this too, but I feel like it's even more devastating for a female. And, thank God I didn't have young children going through this, and it was just me. But nonetheless, it was hurtful because it was through the act of my kids tossing me out, my son, and really not caring. And then me, because I had just spent money on them, all my kids. But nobody ever thinks that your kids will put you out. No one ever thinks that you would be homeless, period. But because I trusted living with my son and putting my physical care in the hands of someone that I had no idea resented me so deeply inside. I ended up being homeless. And I did feel like, not that I wanted to, but if I had to continue to do that for a while, which I did end up doing, that I knew that I at least would be able to make it, and I didn't know for how long, because I still had to figure out how to conserve whatever little bit of money that I have, and I didn't have a job at that time. How am I going to really, really stay warm, because it was just getting colder and I didn't have any heat to be able to come through my car because my air compressor in my car was broke. So I had to figure something out really fast. What is that? I had to figure things out really fast. But all I can say is try to find places where you feel safe. Most of the time, Walmart might be ideal, because if you can find a 24-hour one, but be somewhere where you're not going to look so conspicuous, or maybe a gym, Planet Fitness sometimes, if they have 24 hours. Somewhere where there are cars, but not a lot of cars. I even thought about certain gas stations, because, my mind was just kind of going and trying to figure things out, but it was a very scary experience for me. So, I don't know. All I can say is try your best to continue to stay positive. Be vigilant with your care. At that time, I had a flashlight, but I didn't even have anything else to take care of myself. So I didn't have any pepper spray. I made sure that all my damn doors was locked, okay? And the back doors, I made sure that I just made sure that everything was locked. And I tried not to look too conspicuous. I did wear, I believe my hoodies that I had on were dark, because I didn't want to draw attention to myself. So that's a tip that, maybe you could do. And I believe the coat at the time that I had also was dark. So I had my coat on, I had my hoodie, and I had a semi-dark covered cover. And I think that kind of helped. But yeah, just try to stay positive and do whatever it is that you can to get through the night. But that's how my first experience was, my first night of being homeless. If this is anything that you resonate with and you would care, to talk about your situation, let me know in the comments. I do plan on sharing my entire homeless experience and journey, because I am still in the midst of trying to get on my feet and get my own place. I just happen to be staying right now with a friend, but that within itself still has its own challenges. So thanks for listening to my story.